Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now years ago these three graphics cards would have been priced totally differently and offered varied levels of performance. In 2021 they all get lumped into the same category, which is essentially old and useless, and therefore cost similar amounts of money on the second-hand market. I paid just £5 for each of these, which is slightly under €6 or $7. Today we're going to pit these cards against each other to see which of them is the best at being least terrible. This comparison wouldn't have made sense in 2008 or 2009 when these cards first came out, because their performance differences would have been reflected in their original prices. But because they were all £5 today, plus £1.95 postage, well, they're all fair game. We have a Radeon HD 4350, HD 3650 and GeForce 310. The two ATI cards are from 2008, but the 310 is from 2009 and was an OEM GPU, meaning it was designed to be sold to equipment manufacturers. Basically companies who sold pre-built PCs or workstations. Remember, there are no bad graphics cards, only bad prices, and surely we can get £5 worth of enjoyment out of all of these if we're sensible with our game choices. Starting off with GTA 5 probably wasn't the best idea then. I'm very thankful for the DirectX 10 and 10.1 support that this game offers. It means that even those with older and weaker hardware can still enjoy it, providing we can hit 30 FPS or, at the very least, somewhere near that. Now, while all three cards can be used with Windows 10 by enabling compatibility mode for Windows 8, the oldest of the three, the 3650, will have some issues with missing textures and graphics in some games. For example, in GTA here the opening menu is completely black with only the text visible. While removing Microsoft Visual C++ 2013 fixes these problems in Battlefield, which we'll test later on, it does nothing for GTA or BioShock Infinite, which we'll also be testing later. The 3650 came out the same year as the 4350, albeit 8 months earlier, and both support the same 13.1 ATI driver, but I guess the slight age difference makes all the, difference here. Windows 10 plays nice with the HD 4000 series cards, but not so much with the 3000 series cards, though these graphical glitches don't actually affect the gameplay performance from what I can tell. The Nvidia 310 also runs the game with no issues under Windows 10 and beats both the 3650 and 4350. In CSGO, the 310 goes from the victorious card to the slowest, unable to provide us with a 30 FPS experience. This time the 3650 is the best of the bunch, although the 4350 delivered a surprising result as well. Is it playable? Well, that is arguable, but for £5, two of our three cards, can't even count to three anymore, hit the target I had in mind, which is a bonus, and for the price, I can't complain. Let's move on to our next game and see what happens. It's no surprise that all of our cards can hit at least 30 frames per second in Fallout New Vegas, with the 3650 and 310 creeping up towards 60 on average. The 3650 was the most powerful card out of the three 12 or so years ago, but it's let down these days by the lack of newer driver support. While the same can be said for the other two as well, the 3650 is the one that has the biggest disagreement with Windows 10, proving problematic in some games but not others. There were no noticeable issues here either though, after about 20 minutes of gameplay. That doesn't say much for long-term results, I know, but usually any issues are picked up pretty soon after starting a game. A good example of that is the aforementioned BioShock Infinite. This is a fantastic game and probably one of my favourites. Back in the days of Windows 7 it would have run just fine with the 3650, but we get missing menu textures and in-game assets with the 3650 here. It's a shame because this is the strongest performer yet again, even if we did have to use 848x480 resolution and the very low settings. The 4350 and 310 are quite evenly matched in terms of average frame rates, but the 310 offered a smoother overall experience with little stutter. The 4350 on the other hand felt a bit juddery at times, though no graphical issues arose with this card. Battlefield Bad Company 2 made a mockery of all of the cards at one point or another, with frame dips into the mid-teens not uncommon. That said, the averages were okay in this particularly demanding airfield area, and the 310 came within 5 or so frames of the 3650, with both leaving the 4350 in the dust. I should mention that I had no control over the exact models of each card. They were all £5, so I bought them. The clock speeds and the memory types didn't really come into consideration, as I was expecting them all to perform horrifically regardless. It's nice to see then that they can all offer 30 FPS in some titles, even if they do fall apart in others. Finally, it's the Bethesda classic that is Skyrim. The 3650 doubles the 4350's performance, and the 310 falls somewhere in between both. This suffered from a few lighting issues on the 3650, with the sky flickering every so often. The only way to resolve this was to play this game with Windows 7 installed, and that's what I was going to do, but then I remembered that I had GTA 5 on the test list, and that's about 100 gigs, so I didn't really want to wait for that to download again. In all seriousness though, I'm glad we used Windows 10 because it highlights the problems you could run into with legacy hardware on modern operating systems. The 4350 and 310 had no such issues, so I'd advise you to just avoid the ancient 3000 series cards if you have a tiny budget but you have a new version of Windows installed, like Windows 10 for example. That's all for this one then. This has been a look at 3 £5 graphics cards in comparison with each other in games. All three are, well, pretty bad, but there are instances where they might surprise you. With all that said and done then, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like down below, leave a dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.